Today's guest is one of the world's wildest and most fearless mountain bike riders. He's also a favorite for this year's Red Bull Rampage, second in 2022, and improving every year. This Polish superstar could finally make his dreams come true in Utah this year. A slopestyle star turned free rider, who better to give us the lowdown on Red Bull Rampage? Szymon Godziek, welcome to Just Ride.
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Thanks for these nice words.
You know, I had to tone it down because, you know, you're that big of a star. I was like, I don't want the Polish fans to come and rush in here or anything. One of the places I thought would be interesting to start, on the way here, I was watching this YouTube video that you and your brother did, and it's called Bike Express.
The new one.
Like, yes, the brand new one. It just came out the other day, and it's like this Mission Impossible style. He's riding on a moving train, and you were there. You kind of hosted it. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was a super hard project.
Yeah.
And I am happy I didn't have to do it. I'm happy I have my brother who can do it as well. Because that was super hard.
Yeah.
Moving train, the whole course, like 10 features on it.
Yeah.
Everything was narrow.
Yeah. Who came up with the idea?
Red Bull came up with this idea.
And they just tapped you guys and were like, hey, you guys look, David, you look like you could ride on a moving train.
Yeah, pretty much like that. Like in the beginning, we were supposed to be together in this video project, doing a train on the train.
Sure, okay.
But then they realized we need one shot from the side and we wouldn't fit both.
Yeah. Tell me about, there was like I don't want to spoil it. There's a trick. It's like a world first trick. How did that go down? As like a flat drop backflip? Was that a Red Bull thing too? Or did you and David kind of come up with that idea?
That was David.
Okay.
That was David. Because it was never been done before. It's been done on a BMX. Kenneth Tensio has done it a couple of years ago. And we never seen it on a mountain bike. So David thought it's a cool idea to connect these two projects and put this world first into the train project. But man.
Was it gnarly?
That was gnarly.
Really?
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Did he crash on it or anything?
No, luckily not. David is so good at the moment.
Yeah.
He just had the best season of his life.
Yeah.
He's on fire.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, both of you guys. It's interesting to think of you both because, I don't know a whole lot about slopestyle, but when I think of world first tricks, it's you two. Like, is there like some pact that you guys have or some competition? Why do you think that is?
Maybe it's because of me, because I think I started that.
Yeah, okay, of course.
Because I was always into moto tricks in my slopestyle career. And that made me watch the FMX guys a lot and dream about those tricks and try to make them possible on a mountain bike. And I did some of them. I did couple world first in my life, which felt amazing.
Yeah.
And David as well. And then this flat drop backflip on a set of stairs was super hard.
On a moving train, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think means more to you, like winning a competition or getting a world first?
Hard to say. Probably both are the same. I think winning a comp is actually a better feeling to me. I haven't won many comps in my career. I was always this kind of a guy who was there just to have fun, push my limits, but not risk too much. I was never be like ride or die kind of a rider.
Sure. You would say you're calculated?
Yeah.
That is wild to hear. So, I mean, you mentioned the FMX stuff. We're at Swatch Nines, and I was talking to Bartek Walensky, and he was telling me that you did, like, was it a world first here? Or
I think so.
Yeah. What was it?
It's called Mike Metz.
Oh, yes. It's so you right, you put both of your feet through the handlebars and then what do you say like put them take off your hands and take your feet around. I don't know how to
Yeah, the
describe it.
feet go around, so you have to uh, take off your hands at some point to make the space for the feet, and then grab the bike again.
Wild. And so what jump did you do it over? Was it how big was the jump?
It was quite big,
Yeah.
proper airtime. That was the last jump here at Swatch Nines with the soft landing, perfect jump to try new stuff.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, this trick is kind of scary. Never been done on a mountain bike, and almost none of FMX guys do it these days
Yeah,
on
totally.
motos.
I remember it from back in the day, like because it was what Mike Metzger maybe that came up with it.
Yeah,
In-
he invented this trick.
Yeah, and he was like one of the first dudes to do backflips on motocross bike and stuff like that. Okay, so let's get into Red Bull Rampage. I want to just like lay out the entire picture for the audience. It's just this big event. It's coming up soon. It's one of the things that you focus your year on. How would you describe it to the audience if you were to kind of describe it to somebody who maybe hasn't seen it or doesn't know much about it?
Probably the most unique mountain bike contest ever in the world. Super hardcore, dangerous, pushing our limits, pushing limits of the sport, and digging a lot.
That it is, like you said, I do feel like it is actually the most unique contest. Do you feel like it's the pinnacle of the sport?
I think so, because we go there for big stuff. We push the limits there, and yeah, like all the guys who ride Rampage are probably one of the best guys in the world
Yeah.
to go there to push their limits and fight for the podium.
And for you, like we mentioned, like you got second in 2022. You were on this amazing run in 2023. Are you kind of going back with the goal of winning? Like, is that the only thing that matters for you?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It is. Like, it's been already last year like that. And I was going for my 100% there since the day one of practice. And I was feeling good, but this accident happened. So I was like, it was supposed to be like this. It wasn't my time yet.
What happened when you crashed?
So I crashed in the spot where I would never say that I am able to crash. And that was an easy trick. That was my first run. I had a double drop before Canyon Gap. And just to be safe, I changed my trick from tail whip to bar spin, just to be safe, to make my first run clean and then risk more in the second run. But unfortunately, I crashed on that bar spin. Because that was my mistake. I kind of took a wrong line on that drop. Also got tweaked, maybe by wind or by the trick in the air. Landed sideways and it shot me over to the wrong side of the landing and went OTB. Like, that was the biggest crash of my life. That's for
Really?
sure. Yeah.
What were you thinking? Because I always think about crashes at Rampage. We've seen some over the years. It's not like you can just crash. Like, as soon as you crash, I would imagine the next thing that goes through your mind is like, please don't fall off a cliff. And I guess for you, like when you were in the air, you're doing your bar spin, what was going through your mind?
I thought I will save it, actually, because I landed the bar spin. It shot me to the side, but then I landed on the edge of the second landing, and I was going for like a millisecond. I was going, I thought I will save it, but then I felt a rock under my tire. I was in a soft spot, and then the rock shot me over the bars. And then what I was thinking, I don't know, man. I was flying head first. And luckily, almost nothing happened. I just messed up my wrist, and that's it.
Wow. And it's funny too, like before that, it felt like you were having such a good weekend. Like you nailed the battleship. I mean, even to start the run, can you tell the audience about that feature? Like it was interesting because I have a quote from Brendan Fairclough, and because it was just you two that were on that
Yeah.
feature, and he said it was the most disgusting bit of biking I have ever done. So what was it like? How did you guys come up with this? And after this, we'll get into how that the riders are actually picking their lines, but explain this feature to us.
So it was already 2014, my very first Red Bull Rampage, and that was on the other side of that ridge happening. So we were always riding next to this battleship. And I remember my conversation with Antoine Bizet, the French free rider, in 2015, a year later, actually, we talked about it, that he wanted to jump on it. And I told him, you are crazy, man. It's not possible. Definitely not possible. And Utah is so unique. And with experience of digging, which I got, I started seeing things differently. And after these years, I know that we can make it happen. We can jump on that battleship and make it happen. And I remember I was there on the very first day when we were picking up the lines last year. And I said to my crew, guys, let's do it. We have to jump on that. So
What did they say to you?
they couldn't believe me. They didn't believe me that I want to do that. But then I started explaining them how we're going to do it, how we're going to lower down the battleship to make the landing there, to make it wider. We were trying to make it as safe as possible. And when we were talking about it, Brando came and he had the same idea.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and we teamed up and that was amazing.
Yeah.
I love Brando. He's such a cool dude. Amazing human, super nice. He was scared of heights, so sometimes I had to do some stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So this gets into kind of the structure of the event. So, like you were saying, it's in Utah, and they pick different locations. Sometimes every year. Sometimes they go back to previous locations, and it's at the start. It's just this blank canvas, and you have how many days to build your line?
We have 4 days just to build. Then there is 1 day of break, and then we have 4 days to build and practice.
And so before you get there, you get to choose a crew of 2 other people?
Yes, I can choose 2 diggers.
Okay.
So we are 3.
And then once you get there, you have kind of this allotment of resources. Like you have sandbags. And how many sandbags do you get?
A lot, 75.
75. And it's crazy because you'd be like, well, why do you need sandbags? And it's like to actually make retaining walls for rocks and things like that when you're building all the lines. So you have those days, that dig crew, and you guys will go out there. And so then tell me the process of choosing a line. Do you look at it before? Do you look at pictures before? Do you kind of just walk down with your crew and look at different lines? How does that work?
So I tried checking the footage before the event, but that doesn't work. Nothing looks the same in TV as it looks real life.
Right.
So yeah, walking down, up and down works the best. We show up there. I kind of have an idea what I want to do in my run, what I want to build. And then we look for it. We look for big stuff.
Because this is interesting because there is a bit of interaction between all the riders, right? Like you were talking about how you and Brendan chose to collaborate on a situation. Like, have you ever had a situation where you say, I'm going to build, this double here, and another rider is like, well, your lip is going to be my landing, and you kind of get into it? There's like, is there politics? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, sometimes it gets funny. Because I had this one situation with Zing. That was 2019. Actually, the same zone as we going now.
Right.
And yeah, there was one gap which I wanted to go to, and there was already Carson Storch, Zink, Kyle Strait on it. And they told me, whoa, we are way too many here. You cannot go here. You have to find a different line.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did they say that because like they wanted their runs to be unique? Like they didn't want the whole field like doing the same drop as them, or like was it going to mess up something? Or
It wouldn't mess up anything. It was just about that would be way too many riders on one sick feature.
right.
Yeah. And I wanted to team up. I wanted to help them. But this didn't happen. We actually teamed up on different stuff, on some big landings for big drops. So it's not like this that I don't like Zinc for that or something.
Yeah.
It was totally right. When I think about it, it wouldn't make sense, you know, if we all go there. And in the end, actually, I had a sick gap next to them, maybe even a little bit
yeah,
sicker.
right.
So
You're like, thanks, boys.
Yeah, cheers, boys, for that extra motivation to build good stuff.
There's sometimes where like I've seen it in the past. So I went and dug for Bernard Kerr in 14 and 15. And he's like a World Cup racer. And so he was just like, yeah, just scratch some stuff in, you know, like it'll be all good. But I've seen you guys where you have to team up just to be able to finish, you know, like those 70 sandbags. Maybe you'll team up with a crew and the landing needs like 200 sandbags or something like that. Who is there? Maybe not a hierarchy, but like, you know, you're almost making a construction site in the desert. Like, how do you know that they know how to build? Does that kind of come into the conversation?
Yeah, you know, there's all these people who come every year to Rampage. It's always the same guys. They are super experienced already. I have taught so much from them. No, I have learned.
Yeah.
I have learned so much from them over the years. I've learned how to build with this dirt. And when you were there digging, it was completely different. You didn't have houses with water yet.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have to like bring up, and I think that there was one dude, we called him the water god, and he would come around and you would get your little allotment and things like that. But I think that that's something, like you were saying, it goes hand in hand. Like to have a winning run, you have to have a winning caliber line. And so how do you pick your team? How do you know that your crew is good enough to be able to even execute at Rampage? Because it is like a pretty special kind of process, like to build jumps like that.
Yeah. So my crew is my friends. And I know that they are able to work hard all days long. And that's the most important, I think. Because then we show up there in the desert, we know what to build, but it needs so much work.
Yeah.
That much that we have to wake up every day with sunrise, go there, dig until sunset, come back, sleep, and do it again for a couple of days. A lot of digging goes into it. And yeah, they are my friends. I know they can do it. I know what I want to build. I know how I want it to look like. I know on what I feel comfortable. And it's always teaming up with different teams as well. Like you cannot go solo and do your line.
Yeah.
It's not possible in this short amount of time.
Sure. Yeah. That's so interesting. Is there moments that stand out to you? Like when you think back about, you know, maybe your first Rampage or like, you know, G doing that drop, where you're like, man, this was like a moment in Rampage history that stands out, whether it's you or somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every year something crazy happens, which I remember a lot. Like Brandog does crazy stuff every year. It's super interesting to see different approach of different riders. And Brandog always is super creative, and he does sketchy stuff. It's like he does stuff which I would never want to ride.
Really?
Like these canyon gaps
Yeah.
he builds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a super long canyon gaps with super steep kicker to flip it, and he makes it happen, and that's super impressive. And as I say, every year something happens. Last year, some big moments like Bienvenido Aguado from flipping the canyon gap.
That was crazy.
That was insane. Or G testing his drop, which was the biggest drop I ever seen in my life.
What did you think when you saw the drop, and what did you think when you like saw him roll up to it, about to drop it?
I thought he will not go for it. But G is on another level. And actually last year Rampage, I realized that G is insane. Like, because we were sharing a little bit of line, and that was on the reach, the top part after the battleship.
Yeah.
It was like a reach. There was a super narrow landing somewhere there, and G decided to build a super sketchy takeoff 20 meters above. And I was like, man, how do you want to jump it? It's not possible.
I would just laugh because we did a podcast with him and I felt the exact same way. I was like, what is this guy up to? Oh my man. And like you said, there's people doing all kind of different things, and it's this judged event. And so I guess from a rider's perspective, how does that feel? Like, you could do something super sketchy, off a little takeoff, and it's super technical. You have Brendan doing something super creative. Maybe you're doing a big drop, big tricks. How does the judging go? Like, how do you feel about it?
It's always a lot of shit talk about judging. But I think Rampage is more about pushing your own limits and reaching your goals there. That's how I approach to this event. Also, I mean, I want to win because it's on my bucket list, but I always go there and I have a challenge in my mind, like biggest 360 in my life on a drop, or like biggest drop in my life, biggest flip in my life, something. And I think all of the riders has such a thing, that everyone is there just to push their own limits and reach the goals and work for it. And it's not easy.
Yeah. I feel like that, yeah, it's such a amazing way to think about it. Do you have a goal in mind already for this one?
Yeah.
What is that goal?
So that's the biggest backflip in my life. I mean, on the biggest step down in my life.
So what do you have to beat? What is the biggest step down you've done, backflip step down you've done so far?
I don't even know. It was never that huge that I should count it. But
I'm interested to know, because I feel like your huge and my huge are very different.
So yeah, actually, because we are coming back to the site from 2019, and I have my line in there because I competed back then. And there is the biggest drop in my life, which was 100 feet when I went deep. I tested this drop. Yeah.
No.
It was like
way.
It's kind of long, and I went like this, and it was 100 feet. But we went deep, me and Kyle.
Wait, are you saying that you're thinking about backflipping that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. That's crazy that the thing I think that most people think about when they think about Rampage is just this fearlessness that the riders have. How is that true? Like, is that calculated? Like, are you coming up to a drop like that scared out of your mind and you just make yourself do it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think we all are scared. There is no one who's not scared. Oh, maybe Adolf Silva, this loco.
Yeah, he is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I am scared. I am for sure scared. And as I said before, I feel calculated because every time when I go into something scary and dangerous, I think a lot about it. I think how to crash if I spin too fast or how to crash if I spin too slow. I know how to crash, and that makes me less stressed about it and able to go for it.
So you kind of like go through all of these different scenarios. What happens if this happens? Or like you said, is there a mental tactics? Like I know you train physically a lot for it. Like you have a special trainer kind of that leading up to it that you do that. What is the kind of balance between like the physical and mental preparation for Rampage?
Yeah, I definitely do more physical stuff than mental. I actually don't prepare mentally for this event. I actually never prepare mentally for anything. Yeah, when the time to send it comes, then I'm just there, ready to do it.
How do you, because so many people, I feel like that is one of the things that I think all of us like want to overcome. Like you're scared to do a drop or something for the first time and you get like butterflies. Do you take those butterflies as a signal that you might not be able to do it? Or is that for you like, oh, it's just part of the game. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm used to it.
Yeah.
It's a part of the game. It makes me more focused. And also in this kind of situations, I rush a little bit because I want to get it done and have it done and be like, have the weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually already can feel the weight on my shoulders.
So I want to maybe go back to your origins, like in Poland. Like how did you start out riding? I mean, like we know you now as this amazing rider, like potential Rampage winner, but what was the beginning like?
So we come from Poland, from the flat part of Poland, no mountains. I mean, mountains 1 hour away, but when we started, we were like 15, 16. And
So like a little bit older, I guess, really. Like
yeah, because we don't come from such a family where your dad takes you to the racetrack or anything like that. Just me and David, we came up with this idea by ourselves to start riding, to try riding. And yeah, we started alone, living in this flat area. We had a skate park 10 kilometers away. So we used to pedal there almost every day in summer. But what was the most important, at some point, I think that was 2009 or 8, we built a foam pit in the backyard.
And where did you come up with that idea? Like
we seen videos with foam pits, internet.
And was it homemade? Like what did you use for the foam?
So we asked a factory which makes mattresses for beds.
Yeah.
For some foams, and luckily they had some.
Use this old mattress foam in there.
Yeah.
And so I guess that means that you guys were really, you went to the skate park and you had this foam pit, and so you kind of knew that you wanted to be into like free ride. And were you riding BMX at the time? Like,
yeah. Also,
did you know that you wanted to compete at that point?
Yeah. So we grew up watching these videos like New World Disorder 7,
Sure.
6, 5, these ones. And I was dreaming about this kind of life when I seen Darren Berklot, Cam McCall, Andreula Kondegi. I wanted to be one of these guys. And I was working hard for that. Almost every day together with my bro. We were so passionate about that we wanted to push every day. And we were watching a lot of BMX back then. I was riding on BMX. David was riding on BMX. Then mountain bike. We were swapping a lot. But never in mountains, actually. Always on jumps and skate parks.
And what is the key to getting better, Szymon? Like, I think that both of you, it's almost like you've perfected the art of kind of pushing yourselves to new limits. And it sounds like that started from like a really early age.
Mm-hmm.
What is the key to improvement, do you think?
I think the key is to try to improve every day, like to do a small thing, but every day, something new. And that was us. We were going to the skate park, we were doing all the stuff we can do, but then we were trying new stuff. And sometimes it was something bigger, like a tail whip after like 2 years of trying.
Yeah.
And it could be also a small thing like a foot jam or tail tap. And I think that's the key to improve every day.
And at one point, did you and David kind of transition into mountain biking? Because you transitioned a little bit earlier than he did. He stayed on BMX for a little bit longer, or no?
So 2009, we were both on mountain bikes,
Yeah.
competing in Poland and actually in Europe as well. 2010, we went to Vienna for Vienna Air King contest. That was when I seen guys like Sam Pilgrim, Martin Soderstrom for the first time. And 2011, I got the Red Bull sponsorship.
What was that like?
That was a dream come true for sure. I was like, wow, it's happening. I need to go. I need to ride more, do more. That was a big kick of motivation.
Yeah. Because I feel like for every athlete, there is this moment where it's a job, and there's like moments like that where you're like, oh man, like I'm motivated, but I'm motivated because it's fun and I love it, but also I'm motivated because like this is my job. Like I have to get up, I have to do this. I need to perform. Was that moment, where did it come before or after? Like where you kind of not realize you're a professional, but like you're like, man, this is my career. Like I've kind of made it. I've arrived, I guess.
No, that wasn't that moment yet.
Yeah.
I think it came way later. It came later for sure. In that moment, 2011, I was super motivated to work on my skills because that was when I started to go to European slopestyle comps. That was when I had to ride for the first time step downs, flat drops, this kind of stuff. Because I was good on jumps,
Right.
but when it was coming to the drop, I was shitting my pants. Because we never had it at home. That's why. So I was ready to work hard. I was always looking for different spots where I can build a boner log or drop. And it was happening. But David, that time, he chose to ride BMX. Because actually every winter we were swapping to ride BMX because there was only one indoor spot in Poland.
Oh, wow.
And that spot was only BMX, no mountain bikes.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating.
And back then the winters were stronger, so we couldn't ride in Poland in like November, December, January, February. So we had to do something. And nowadays on mountain bikes, we have our spot in the woods with sand. We can ride all year long. It's cool. Yeah, year by year, it was evolving all the time.
Do you feel like that is something that is necessary now for the ride, or for you to be at the top of your game, or for riders at the top of the sport to have their own kind of compound, their own training ground?
I think so. Then you can really focus. You can put every day yourself to progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think the foam pit was the key actually, because we were there almost every day after school, trying new tricks, trying some dream stuff. And
I mean, it's interesting for me because you kind of like start to put this puzzle together for you guys. Like we talked about all of those world firsts and stuff at the beginning, and you kind of see you guys riding in the foam pit, building those skills, being comfortable with like being creative. Like you have this foam pit, you can do anything. Do you feel like that's where the creativity came from, and like also being able to pull from all of these different things?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was the key. We were spending hours in this foam pit trying new stuff, trying stuff which also sometimes never been done before, or also this trick, cash roll.
Yeah.
I was one of the first guys in mountain biking doing cash rolls as well. And that was because I seen that in BMX. And I was like, yeah, I have a foam pit, I can try them. And I started doing them, winning best tricks with them. Then I did cash roll bar spin as the world first. And it kept going like this for years.
What's your kind of opinion on the progression of the sport? Like when you look back at the sport then and now, how do you feel about it? Like, has it gone in a way that you would want it to go to? Has it progressed as fast or faster than you thought it would?
Yeah, it progressed fast. So I like what I see. I like what I see.
I love that you're just like, you just can't get enough.
Yeah, I mean, slopestyle is amazing. When I see Emil on the course, I am amazed by his skills. When Emil came to the sport, he started doing all these dream tricks I wanted to do, but I never got to this level. And he kinda somehow came and started doing all of that, and then even more than I expected. And that was super impressive. And nowadays with women in the sport, I see like all the courses, slopestyle courses, getting smaller and smaller. I remember 2010, Whistler, huge drops. X Games Munich, huge drop.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, jumps used to be huge, and not anymore nowadays, which is also fine to me because on smaller jumps, you still can do these big tricks, and it's safer to crash, and it's easier to mentally overcome the fear to try the tricks. And what else? And yeah, and I love how big air is progressing. Big air is my favorite thing.
And you mean big air is in like a fest series, or just like at the contest, like how big of jumps, or like,
No.
What does that mean?
Fast years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because there is no big air in slopestyle anymore.
Yeah.
Jumps got too small.
Yeah.
But when it comes to big air, how it progressed from 2014, when for the first time Maken and Nico Vink started doing it. Nowadays, the jumps from being long and flat, they are tall and steep.
And long.
And long.
And so like for the audience who doesn't know, like the fest series, it was like really a group of riders saying that kind of same thing, where it's like, oh, we want something bigger than slopestyle. We want like to kind of push the limits of how big the jumps can be. Do you feel like that's where you see the sport going, is doing all of these tricks that you have perfected in slopestyle contests and taking them to these 60, 70, 80 foot jumps?
No.
Really?
No. Bigger is a different story.
And do you feel like it's just more about the style and the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of different tricks, because the bikes are different as well. We ride there on a downhill bike, double crown, full suspension, big bikes. You cannot do tail whips and bar spins with them, but you can do moto tricks, which makes me happy. And the jumps, the courses like Darkfest, they get so perfect nowadays. After all of these years, making them better and better, they are so good that it's amazing to ride on them. And every year we see some new stuff, like bigger stuff, bigger tricks. It's lovely.
It feels like that is what, well, I'll just add, like, is that what excites you most about riding your bike now? Is the Fest series, the big air, like really just exploring that side of it? Because I know you have like a big freestyle motocross kind of influence in everything that you do.
Yeah, yeah. I always had that in my slopestyle career on small jumps, and as well now on the big jumps. Bigger. I have started riding these big jumps in 2018, and after 6 years, I'm not bored of it, but I still love it a lot. But I feel like there is so much more in mountain biking. Like this year, I started riding downhill, which I love so much nowadays. And I was always this kind of a guy who was riding almost everything over the years: skate park, street, dirt, slopestyle, also BMX.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went into freeride, big air, now a little bit of downhill. So there is almost everything.
We're gonna see you at a World Cup downhill?
No, probably not.
They got one in Poland now. They got one.
I would have to spend days or years to get fast.
We saw you at Hardline. How was that this year?
Oh, as I said before, Hardline kicked my ass by far.
I mean, it's like the combination of like you have these huge jumps, but then also in between a downhill track. What was the hardest part about it for you?
All the roots, all the ruts, all the rocks. Like the jumps were the easiest there.
Yeah, these like 80-foot jumps. It's like, okay, I have a rest mentally or whatever. Now I have to ride over some roots.
Yeah.
I know what you mean though.
It was like that. I was not even stressed to hit that biggest jump there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to ride all of this steep stuff, loose stuff, or the rocky section on the top, that was stressful. And that was such an experience. I am a different rider right now after that event.
Are you looking forward to going back?
Yes, I want to try back. I know what I did wrong. I run a different setup now, different suspension. I ride it faster now, softer,
Yeah.
even on big jumps.
Sure. Yeah.
And it works, and I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. Like you're saying, like so many different disciplines. And even when you do have your downhill bike, you ride the same bike for like a Fest series as you would on Hardline.
Yeah.
But the setup's completely different. I would imagine at the Fest series, it's, really stiff. Like,
Stiff and slow.
Yeah.
And slow. And I was like that for years, but now I don't like it. Now I'm softer a little bit and fast.
Got that racer setup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess to kind of start to close it up, what is your goal? Like, what is the thing that you push toward now? Like, you just outlined all of these different disciplines and things that you love, but you're also so driven. So, like, where are you driving toward?
Rampage. I am pushing to finally win that, and I know what to do, and I train. I have been training last month. But also I want to ride more downhill, go hardline again. And FMX, which was always my dream before even I started riding mountain bikes. I have a FMX bike, I have a setup at home, and I love to hit the ramp. And I think I will stick more to it in the future. Because the feeling of flying on the moto is insane.
Really?
It's so good.
You mentioned Andre Laconde guy, like, he's kind of made the switch completely from like mountain bike to motocross now.
Yeah.
Is it similar? Like, I feel like we talk so much about the crossover from motocross to mountain bike, but what's it like to go from mountain bike to the moto?
Hard. It's hard. Because when I was starting my moto thing, I thought, I know all of these moto tricks on my bike. I will be so good on the moto. I'll be able to extend my Supermans more and do all of them on the moto, but not. Moto is so different that I had to start from zero.
Wow.
But also I never had that motocross skill,
Right.
which would be super useful. So that made me start riding moto from the very zero, and it's been like 5 years now, and I'm still not able to do what I wanna do.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when you think about this year, like let's say you win Rampage, what does it mean for you to tick off a goal like that? Like, would you be hungry to come back and defend your title, or do you think you move on to the next thing?
I would like to come back for sure,
Yeah.
but I think I would be coming back without such a big pressure anymore, and I would have more fun. Yeah.
You break out the sleeveless tee.
Yeah, the tank top is back.
Oh man, Szymon, this has been great. Like I can't wait to see you at Rampage and watch what you do, see what you build. It's gonna be great.
Thanks, man. I have a plan and I try my best.
We'll be watching. I'll be crossing my fingers, holding my breath.
Thanks, man.
Great luck.
Yeah, sometimes already now when I go to sleep and I close my eyes and I think about that flip on that big step down, I am like, oh my God, why? Maybe I shouldn't go.
I know, it's like it's still a month away and you're already...
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've been going through a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would be too. Good grief.
It's scary. It's scary, but I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to push myself.
I mean, that's what makes you one of the best in the world.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you soon, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.